What's going on, good people? It's your boy John, the Date Dr. Clark, and I want to get something off my chest for my couples. I call it, are you all speaking the same language? And when I say that, statistically speaking, within the United States, the average language is English. The average secondary language nowadays is Spanish. And we have so many different cultures in the world nowadays that it's hard to adapt. It's hard to be in tune with our own primary language in relationships. And when I say that, I mean, yes, we have both parties that are speaking English, but ladies and gentlemen, it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than the average English language. It's much deeper than the average Spanish speaking language. It's much deeper. When I mean, are you all speaking the same language? I mean, do you understand her just as much as she understands you? Do you understand this person dislikes just as much as you understand their likes? Do you understand their pet peeves versus their first love? Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear what I'm saying? Are we actually speaking the same language? Are you speaking the same dialect to really take the time to get to know your significant other? Are they interpreting the same dialect to take the time to get to know who you are as a human being, as a person who has a heart, as a person who has feelings? Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear what I'm saying? Are we understanding each other's language? Are we speaking the same language? Or are we both speaking in two different forms of language that neither one of us understands? But that's the kicker. We're either having two choices. We're either speaking the same language and we're compatible now, and we're doing the right things that we need to do to be compatible towards one another. Or we could be speaking the same language but not interpreting it correctly. When I say not interpreting it correctly, it's by knowing that we have the same language but choosing not to speak to one another in the correct way. I mean that by saying, knowing that person's pet peeve, knowing everything about this person that they really love and cherish the most, and we're doing everything to neglect that. The next thing that we're typically doing is that one person is speaking English and the other person is speaking Ebonics. When I say that, I mean we have no idea what's going on with one another. We have no desire, no willpower to even know what this person likes, what they dislike, what their favorite foods are, what their not so favorite food are. And then to kind of flip it, are we really speaking each other's language? Another foreign language that we tend to neglect is treating a person the way we want to treat them. I'm going to say it again just in case there's an echo. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear what I'm saying? Are we really taking the time to speak the correct language to one another? A lot of us are raised to treat people the way we want to be treated, but that sounds fine and good, but are we doing it? Ladies and gentlemen, are we doing it? We're raised in a society where it states that treat people the way you want to be treated. But I would like to ban that, ladies and gentlemen. When I say that, it means we're not dedicating time to understand each other's language. My advice, my suggestion to you, ladies and gentlemen, how much this video goes, if it goes viral, I want the world to know we need to learn how to speak each other's language. And it starts tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy John, the Date Dr. Clark, and I'm getting ready to tell you how to speak each other's language. Have you all heard of this book by the name of Mr. Chapman? It's called, well, that's the author. His name is Mr. Chapman, but he titles it 5 Love Languages. When I say that love language novel, it teaches you how to love that particular person. And the way it teaches you how to love that person is understanding how that person perceives love. Understand how that person understands love. Understand how that person interprets it. And understand how that person prefers to be loved. As human beings, as people with a pulse, we have 5 different ways that we prefer to be loved. The average person loves physical touch. The average person loves quality time. The average person loves the form of acts of service. The average person loves words of affirmation. And ladies and gentlemen, I know there's one more, and it's on the tip of my tongue. Don't you just kind of hate when you forget it? Physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, words of affirmation, and quality time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say it again just in case I made a mistake. There's quality time. There's physical touch. There's words of affirmation. There's acts of service. And then there's gifts. I knew I was forgetting something. There was the 5 basic things, or the way the average person interprets love, the way that average person perceives love. And last but definitely not least, there's the way that the average person prefers to either be loved or prefers to dish out love. And that's the secondary part I really need you all to take a hint of. The average person prefers to be loved one of those 5 ways, and sometimes a little bit more. But you have to take time to know that. That's the way of speaking each other's language. So the primary thing is the average person prefers to be loved one of those 5 ways, sometimes a little bit more. But also, the average person prefers to love those particular ways. Love those particular ways as a matter of saying, that's how that person is going to love. And we have to dedicate time to understand how we perceive love just as much as how we receive love. Perceive and receive. When we develop that type of language within ourselves, we'll be able to develop that type of language within other people. When we start developing those 2 types of languages towards ourselves and those other people, that's when we begin to speak each other's language. Ladies and gentlemen, please share this video. A lot of us are speaking Ebonics to one another. A lot of us are speaking Spanish, and we've never sat in a Spanish course. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready to perfect your relationship, if you're ready to excel in your relationship, learn to speak each other's languages. As much as that person prefers to be loved from a physical touch point of view, alert that person on how you prefer to be loved. Now, you have to learn how that person loves just as much as you have to learn how you're going to proceed to love. And when you learn those two particular things, you all need to act on it. Don't just say it. Don't just be about it. Act on it, ladies and gentlemen. That's my words of wisdom. Are you all speaking the same language? I know I am. Be safe.